Hi, I'm Martin Nix. I'm in Seattle, Washington, and been doing some very interesting research into solving global warming. I believe that HelioHydroElectric technology can solve global warming, and a lot of people don't know about it, and that's the reason why we're doing this. Basically, HelioHydroElectric is the use of solar-powered pumps that pump seawater inland to flood dry salt lakes in the middle of deserts to increase the amount of evaporation. The amount of evaporation increases the amount of rainfall from the clouds. The rainfall increases the amount of vegetation in deserts, which removes carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. This is actually the only type of technology that can actually remove carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. So if you bear with me for the next 20 minutes or so, I'm going to run over some of my conclusions here. We actually set up a web page, www.heliohydrosociety.org, which talks about this technology. So let me run over some of these data and information, and bear with me. You're going to find this very interesting. We can solve global warming by removing carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. And I honestly believe if we built these projects worldwide, we could solve global warming. So excuse me for jumping up and down. Spread the word. Anyway, let me start off with some of the interesting data on this. Worldwide, there are numerous sites. Mind you, this is totally estimates. But Iran has the largest numbers. That's because of the Caspian Sea. But if you see right here, I'm talking about 390 potential sites worldwide, and potentially more because there are a lot of small sites out there. But worldwide, there's about 379,135 square miles of land area that could be flooded with salt lakes, potentially. And you see Iran has 199,840 miles, India about 10,000, Africa about 38,000, China 57,000 miles, and Mongolia. A lot of these areas are having droughts, and by pumping the seawater inland, we can actually eliminate the drought. Also, there are other sources of water too. We can pump water from underground, from alkaline aquifers, which are down very deep. Some of these are tied in the ocean, so you won't be lowering the existing water tables, and also by using floodwaters like from the Indus River. So let me run over here. Worldwide potential is about 390 sites. The potential for rainfall in the Iran region, we're talking about 138 cubic miles of rainwater being generated each year. Worldwide, we're talking about 283 cubic miles of rainwater generated each year in desert regions. That's 283 cubic miles of water being pumped up in the atmosphere using solar-powered pumping. You can see the amount of cubic feet is 100, 325, 605. That is how many cubic feet per second is being generated if we were to do all these heliohydroelectric projects worldwide. Worldwide potential for the energy requirements, by my calculations, is about 363,482,000 megawatts. Now, to put that in perspective, that's about the equivalent of 363 large nuclear power plants. Of course, I'm talking about using solar power. That's about 10% of all the electrical power generated by mankind, plus or minus a few megawatts of electrical power. So it really is not that ridiculous, considering what we're doing here. And by my calculations, about negative 5,368 megawatts of electrical power can be generated because some of these heliohydroelectric sites are below sea level, such as the Dead Sea in Israel and Jordan. Ironically, the Dead Sea project is being built jointly by Palestine, by Jordan and Israel together to solve the water problems in that region. And it will help, hopefully help the peace process between the countries also. But the Dead Sea generates very little electrical power, but the evaporation there, they hope, will lend stability to the geology and also increase the amount of rainfall in Jordan. So the electrical power consumption is not ridiculously ridiculous as claimed by some other people out there. Now, what is important about this is the amount of carbon dioxide that will be removed from the additional rainfall. By my calculations, we're talking about removing 20,735,800 and 410 million tons per year of carbon dioxide per year. And this creates, and I'm assuming that we have 1,494 763 square miles of grasslands created. In other words, I'm basically making some assumptions here. There are computer models that could be used to actually calculate exactly. Once we know where the rainfall is falling from using climatology, computer models, we'll be able to figure out how much carbon dioxide. But I predict that we're going to be able to produce, remove 20 million, approximately 20 million tons per year of carbon dioxide just from growing additional vegetation. Now, what is very interesting about this is we are also growing algae in these salt lakes. This will increase the amount of biodiesel fuel worldwide. By my calculations, we're generating 181,526,693 barrels of biodiesel fuel each day by growing algae in these salt lakes worldwide. That's enough to put the oil companies out of business. And we repeat, 181,526,693 million barrels of oil each day. That will also remove carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. In order to grow that amount of biodiesel fuel, by my calculations, the algae growing in these lakes will remove 19,289,659,900 million tons per year of carbon dioxide. That means that we're not putting that equivalent amount of mineral oil, carbon dioxide, in the atmosphere. We're removing it for biodiesel fuel. And you see, worldwide, we can do this in Iran, Pakistan, India, South America, the United States, South Africa, Australia, and China. It's just amazing. Now, people ask, what about the cost of it, whatever? Let me point out to people that the Iraqi war cost the United States $2 trillion. The F-35 jet fighter is going to cost this country $1 trillion. The money's there. We can do it. This is not unusual. There is actually a historical parallel to this. Back during the 1930s and 1920s, the United States was in severe economic depression. We had the Oklahoma Dust Bowl. So much so, there was raining dust and dirt in New York City. This project is no more visionary than what TVA and Hoover Dam was back in 1950. History repeats itself, except that we're pulling the entire planet out of an economic depression. I want to run over some of these sites. And let me start with the United States. In the United States, we have the potential of flooding the American Southwest. There are about 181 sites, but what we could do is build a canal along the border between Mexico and the United States to flood these areas too. There are also areas in northern Arizona, Nevada, California, New Mexico that can be flooded. The amount of evaporation that we create from these HelioHydroElectric projects in the American Southwest would be equivalent to the Colorado River. We can restore the Colorado River with HelioHydroElectric technology. And the energy requirements are not that elaborate. It's well within the generation capacity of the United States using solar-powered pumps. One of the projects that I have been working on, and this was actually done at the request of the government of Iran, is to take a look at the HelioHydroElectric potential in the nation of Iran. The story behind it is the Ayatollah of Iran had a national day of prayer. He was praying for rain. It hasn't rained in Iran for an entire 2 years. They have a severe drought there. He wants to know how to solve it. I'm happy to report that I am the answer to that prayer. So I did some analysis for the government of Iran, and I concluded that the amount of energy that could be generated, we could build a ship canal from the Arabian Sea to Tehran to the Ural Sea. The ship canal will be 500 feet wide and 100 feet deep, flowing at 10 feet per second. That is how much rainwater we're creating in the sub-Asia area. I'm proposing that we flood several areas in the middle of Iran to create rainfall. We're also talking about flooding the Ural Sea. The energy requirements are not that high. Iran has a very wasteful economy. We can generate enough electrical power for the pumping just from energy conservation alone. If we integrate some solar and wind energy, we'll be able to do it. The government's taking it very seriously, and I'm proud to be of assistance here. I'm hopeful that it'll help solve a lot of the world problems and conflicts around the world if we were to develop these HelioHydroElectric projects. Also, too, I have been working with at the request of the government of Pakistan. We're looking at flooding dry salt lakes areas along the western border between Iran and Pakistan, and even building a flood canal tunnel from the Indus River to flood these areas. We can use solar-powered pumps to pump water inland. This is between the border of Iran and Pakistan. We can also do an area here called the Ran of Clutch. This area here used to be below sea level about a century ago, but by flooding this area here, it will add additional rainwater into the nation of India. This may actually solve the conflict in the Kashmir region, in that we're putting more rainwater into the Kashmir area. There is a kind of a water war going on. The Kashmir region is the watershed to the Indus River, so water is very important to Pakistan. So by adding more water to the Kashmir region, it's going to span the glaciers and also helpfully help both countries in getting water, and that way they don't have to fight over lack of water between the two countries. I think the conflict in the Kashmir region has a lot to do with water in the region, and if we can solve that problem with HelioHydroElectric technology, we'll be able to do it. Anyway, let me continue here. This has major implications. The Qattara Depression Project is an area below sea level in Egypt. We could build that. That'll generate about 1,000 megawatts of electrical power, but also put additional rainwater in the Middle East. We may be solving the conflict in the Middle East here, in that one of the areas here is the dry lakes in the Sinai Desert. This is kind of interesting fact, but these dry lakes used to have water when Moses was running around in the biblical times. Personally, there have been a lot of conflicts in this area, and by building a canal from the water areas along the border between Israel and Egypt, this will increase the amount of rainwater, both Egypt and Israel, and also put more water in the Dead Sea area, which will give more water to Jordan and also Israel and Palestine, and I would say also Jerusalem. This project here alone could help increase the potential for peace in the region. This also has implications for the Jordan area, which has large number of refugees from Syria. As you can see, there are large number of sites in Syria. What I'm proposing is that Russia help build these areas here, and the King of Jordan and the King of Saudi Arabia build these sites in Jordan. This will employ all the refugees in the United Nations refugee camps. We have other sites around the world that can be done. Australia has huge number of sites. China, South Africa, and the American Southwest, of course, and even southern Russia, Spain, Algeria, Mali. Let me say something here. It's not by accident that most HelioHydroElectric sites are in war zones. I honestly believe that by developing HelioHydroElectric, it is the military solution to the Islamic State. The Islamic State is a creation of global warming. In the area where the people live, they don't have enough rainfall. The carrying capacity of Syria and the Arab world cannot support that number of people because there's not enough rainfall. And areas around the world that have rainfall are getting flooded and are seeing an increasing amount of tornadoes and hurricanes. By building these HelioHydroElectric projects worldwide, we are modifying the climate and solving the Islamic State. I honestly believe the military solution to the Islamic State is not there. Now, personally, I think there is a military solution and a standpoint that might be able to stop some of the abuses, such as rescuing the Asi Indian native people there, and maybe putting a stop to some of the abuses of the Islamic State, but I don't think it's really going to solve the problem. The root cause of the Islamic State is lack of water, and we really need to make it rain. This is going to solve a lot of problems throughout the whole world. Australia has a severe drought. We're going to solve a problem there. Now, one last thing that I like to talk about is potential for solving the immigration crisis coming from people in Central America. Central America used to have an ancient canal system that was built by the people, that Mayans there. That was destroyed by the Spanish so as to destroy the economy, and has left that region in poverty ever since the Spanish arrived. We can rebuild the ancient Mayan canal system and pipe water from Mexico all the way down to Peru. This will increase the amount of agriculture and also put in a low-cost form of transportation called canals. Some portions of it are there. This will stimulate the economy and give people alternative employment and stop the migration of people right now from Central America into the United States, and give people there a future. The same thing going on in Syria right now. We're seeing people migrating from Syria to Europe. They're migrating from areas that don't have water to areas that have water. I am proposing that we build these HelioHydroElectric projects worldwide. I personally do not think that it is outlandish. I think it's within the resources of mankind to be able to do it. Just like President Roosevelt faced the issue of pulling the country out of an economic depression in the Oklahoma Dust Bowl by building TVA and Hoover Dam, we can also build these projects worldwide and solve these water wars and solve these economic crises and worldwide, and pull the world out of an economic depression. HelioHydroElectric projects is a very little known technology. Uses solar energy, solar water pumps, to increase the amount of evaporation and rainfall. And I honestly believe that it'll help bring prosperity and happiness to the world, around the world. I thank you very much for listening to my presentation here. Please spread the word. We need more solutions like this to solve a lot of the crises of environmental crisis and global warming upon this planet. Thank you for listening. Have a good day.